All right, I want to share the story of my new song, Who's to Blame, for two reasons. Number one, it's an interesting way that this song came about. It's different than any other song that I've ever done, any project that I've ever worked on. And number two, it is a lesson in never assuming that something is dead. So the initial spark of the song came about 2 years ago. I remember the moment extremely vividly. I was driving to go pick up some dinner down south. It was raining, it was dark, and I had been listening to the Black Pumas a lot, which is kind of crazy that that is the initial spark and idea and vibe of the song I was going for when you listen to the final production, because it sounds nothing like a Black Pumas album. But that was sort of the vibe and the initial thought behind the song. It was this walking blues line, and I was feeling moody and all of that in the rain and the lights at night and driving and all that. And that's where the initial spark of it came through, that initial bass line. From there, it kind of evolved into this rocky blues type thing, and I didn't really know what else to do with it. At first, it was literally just the bass line and this very simple guitar part over it, but that was it. It sat on my laptop after, kind of singing the melody into my phone to record the initial idea, and then getting home and over the next couple of days, I found some time and kind of laid out a basic progression and structure of the song, but didn't have any lyrics, couldn't come up with a melody, and it sat there for a very long time. A few months later, the initial idea for the lyrics started to manifest. I won't say who it is, but I follow some folks online that are, internet vloggers, and basically this couple that I had been kind of following their adventures and their lives for a few years broke up. And it got really ugly, and I found myself following new channels and new outlets that each of them was starting, and it was kind of becoming this online feud, and it started to make me uncomfortable, and so I ended up stop following those people after a while. But the idea of this resentful nature of a relationship, the breakup song, that stuck in my head for a few weeks after I decided to stop following these people. And so that idea of when did we get so resentful, the literal lyric in the chorus, how does that happen over time? How does a relationship evolve from being this place of warmth and comfort and love into something so toxic? And we're all probably guilty of it at some point. We end up in a relationship and it kind of falls apart. And yeah, I've had some bad breakups, but I've never had anything as what seemed to be, at least, as toxic and spiteful as this breakup was. And so I put myself in that mindset. And that's when the idea for that lyric started to kind of coalesce. We can get emotional, we can get caught up in these, relationships and things like that. And when it becomes something so personal to us that we're losing, we can end up in a really, really dark place. And a lot of times we only have ourselves to blame, or there is no one to blame. Everyone kind of shares a little bit of that blame and that burden, and so it kind of, spirals out into this nasty thing. But anyways, that's the idea for the lyric of the song. So I wrote lyrics, I wrote a melody, a very simple drum progression, but ultimately it didn't really fit the tone that I was initially going for, and I didn't really know what else to do with the song. It didn't feel finished, it didn't feel resolved at all. And so it sat on my laptop for, at that point, about a year and a half, until I started chatting online with Ian Kaufman. So I met Ian online about 3 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic. I was part of a theme park fan group, and we sort of started chatting about our fandom of the Orlando theme parks and stuff like that. He is on a podcast called Theme Park Stop with a really awesome investigative journalist, and so I became involved with their Facebook group, really active on there, meeting and chatting with a lot of really cool, fun people. So these internet friendships started to kind of blossom. He had mentioned a few times online and in the group that, he used to play in bands and he, did music production and stuff. We kind of bonded a little bit over that as well. I got to work with him on a project that I did for like a theme park fan thing that I did during the pandemic and lockdowns, which was a lot of fun. And, so we've been internet friends for a few years until eventually, I had this project. And he had mentioned one day, he's like, hey man, if you ever are working on something, if you ever need a guitarist or something, let me know. Send it my way. I'd love to work on something with you. And I was like, you know what? I have this song that I don't know what to do with. So let me send it to Ian and let me see what he thinks. And maybe he can do something with it. And that was the moment that started this process that I've never done before with any other people, any other kind of project. And that was, I basically let it go. And whatever he wanted to do with it was the direction we were gonna go. And with his background being definitely in like heavier guitar driven music, he liked it, he gelled with it, and he laid some ridiculous guitar parts over it. I mean, you hear them in the record now. And he opened up this whole other realm and avenue for the song to go down. And I was blown away. It was nothing like what I had been working on. It had nothing to do with any kind of the influences that I had in my head, but I loved what he did with those guitars. But it needed a bass line, and that's where Jason McGuire comes in, because Ian one day said, I think my buddy who lives out in California would absolutely love this song. And so we sent it to him. He thought it was a cool song. He really dug my voice, and he blessed it with a sick bass line, which is what you now hear on the record. So the session gets sent to Jason and it evolves a little bit, and now we have 3 different locations working on this record. Me here in Austin, you've got Ian in Orlando, and you've got Jason in California. And that is something that, I know a lot of people do, but is something that I've never done before. I've never been able to just send my sessions or songs to other people in different states and have them do it. It's always felt weird. It always felt, disconnected, and I didn't like it. But for the first time ever, this clicked in a way that really made sense. And the record was coming together. We had some initial programmed drums that replaced the ones that I did, and it became very obvious now with the guitar parts that, Ian had put together and had been able to mix, because he ended up doing the final mix and all the production on the final record, and the bass parts that, that Jason had put in and everything, that we needed a really, really sick drummer. And again, Ian came in with the clutch and said that he knew of a really awesome drummer who also lived in Orlando, and that's where we met Jeff. Jeff Schiller is a phenomenal percussionist. He plays in a bunch of bands and acts around the Orlando area and the theme parks and venues around town. He's done session work. He's done all kinds of really, really, really dope stuff. And he came through and really took this over the finish line. Laid in some really awesome live drums. It sounds fantastic. I cannot thank him enough for bringing it all together. And so now we had all 4 of us. We had me, Ian, Jeff, Jason, and it really, like I said, it just kind of brought the record to a whole other place. And so we went for a good 2 months sending the sessions back and forth and adding little bits in here and there. And I re-recorded vocals, and we re-recorded bass and drums, and then we added more guitar parts and some synths and some layers, and then Ian did some background vocals and some harmonies, and just did some production wizardry that brought it to the record that is available now and that you can hear, and it has been playing underneath this video the entire time. It is phenomenal. It is a really, really interesting and new way for me to work on music. I've never done it like this before, and it was really, really rewarding to get to work with people, start with something so close and you know, small of an idea that came out of my head, and go through that process of just letting it go, of acknowledging that, like, okay, I've brought it to this point, but it's gonna have to go to someone else now to get it across the finish line. I've never worked like that. I've always been the kind of person that, like, really just wants to have singular control over everything, and going through the process of sharing it with others and letting other people have a say in it. And it's no longer my song, it is our song. It is all four of us that have poured ourselves into this record. And, like, you know, they may not be as emotionally invested in it as I am. Maybe it's just, you know, a song that they played on, but I will be eternally grateful to Ian, to Jeff, to Jason for everything that they did on this record, the immense amount of work. It took something that was sitting on my hard drive for 2 years, from when the initial, you know, little voice note on my phone was recorded until it was finished and uploaded for distribution, was just over 2 years. And I'm truly, truly grateful that they helped me get this thing across the finish line, because I couldn't have done it without them. And so this brings me to the second reason why I wanted to make this video is, like I said, the lesson in letting go, and the lesson in understanding that, like, you can make something, but ultimately it needs to be shared. And sometimes you need to share it before it's even done. I've written a bunch of songs, I've recorded a bunch of songs, released a bunch of songs, and there will be new projects coming, you know, that I will be the only one working on them, but there will also be other projects, hopefully with, you know, this group as well. And, you know, it's awesome when you can do something yourself and you are the sole creative voice in it, and it's really, really cool that we live in an age where I can produce a record literally sitting in the corner of my living room. But sometimes, in order to get something across the finish line, it needs other people's voices. It needs other people's creative energy to really get it to a point that it was something bigger and larger than it could have ever been if it was just me. And so I know that if it was just left to me, the record the way it is would definitely not sound anything like what it sounds like today, and it would probably still be sitting on a hard drive somewhere. So that's the lesson that I've taken from this whole process. What this song means to me when I hear it. Like, yes, it is a song about breakups, and there's the whole, you know, emotional stress that we go through with a breakup, and whose fault is it really? And there's a whole conversation about, you know, that kind of relationship dynamic stuff that can happen when you listen to this song. But for me, it also has that secondary level of, this was the first time that I was really truly allowing other people to come in and create with me in order to get something finished. And it's taught me to really just let go at times, and let things be the way that they are. And, you know, other people have amazing things that they can bring to the table, and can help you get your creative visions to a place that you've never thought they could be. So that is essentially the background of the song Who's to Blame. Again, it is available to stream right now. You can stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, and all the other places. You can see it right here if you're watching this on YouTube. And of course, it is for sale. You can download it anywhere you can buy music. And so definitely go check it out. Really, really appreciate the love and support and everything. That reaction that I've gotten for this record is a phenomenal record. I'm super, super proud of it. And, you know, moving forward, we have some other things that we're working on. Now, hopefully it won't take us as long as this last one took, but because we are scattered around the country, you know, it may take a little while to get things completed. We all have jobs. We are, you know, all, you know, independent musicians in addition to a day job, a career, a life. Some of us have kids, some of us have other projects that we're working on. And so, you know, I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with these, you know, amazing musicians and these guys who can honestly say I can call friends, which is crazy because we've never all been in a room together in real life, and I've never met these guys in real life ever. I've never actually been in a physical room with Ian, Jason, or Jeff. And we gotta get that fixed. So that's a goal of mine in 2024. If we ever make it down into Orlando again, which we probably will because we're addicted to the theme parks, a meetup and some kind of collaboration thing needs to happen. But at least, if nothing else, we gotta meet up, share some drinks. So Jason, Jeff, Ian, if you're watching this, you made it to the end, thank y'all so much for everything that you did with this record. I really appreciate it. I'm forever in your debt. And let's go finish the next one. That's gonna do it for this video. Thank y'all so much for watching. Again, like I said, I have new stuff coming in the new year. We're gonna start doing more live streams again. I really wanna get back into doing that. I've got new music that is scheduled to be released in January. We're gonna have at least 2 songs. These 2 songs will be just myself, and then hopefully we can finish up some new ones with me, Jeff, and Ian. We gotta come up with like a name for this like group, you know, because it's a mouthful to say all of our names. But yeah, there will be new music in the new year, January. It's gonna have a lot of really cool things coming. I'm really excited. I am dedicated to getting back on this music thing. And like I said, there will at least be 2 more songs coming out in January. So make sure you're subscribed, look out for them, and thank y'all so much for watching the video. We'll see you all around, and as always, one love.
Really, who's to blame?